This video is sponsored by Willært. Start learning for free with the link in the description, and the first 200 get 20% off the annual premium subscription. April 11th, 2020 was, as much as one can be at the moment, a day like any other. As the US passed 500,000 cases of coronavirus, no one paid much attention to the unremarkable news in North Korea. The state-run Korean Central News Agency published a relatively mundane story about Kim Jong-Un attending a Workers' Party meeting, where this photo was taken. What no one knew is that this would be the last appearance by the Supreme Leader for almost 3 weeks. After missing his grandfather's birthday celebration on Wednesday, something he had never done in his 9 years in power, it became clear something was up, and the rumors began. On Monday, the South Korean website Daily NK reported that Un was recovering from a cardiovascular operation, quoting anonymous sources. Then, CNN ran the headline, US source North Korean leader in grave danger after surgery, turning the regional report into a global story. Soon, an MSNBC anchor with 700,000 followers tweeted the news, and a media executive posted 2 candles on her Weibo page, adding more fuel to the fire. An old picture of Kim Jong-il's body, photoshopped with the face of his son, began circulating online, along with a video of Chinese military vehicles supposedly rushing to the border, which was later identified as being filmed further south in Jiangsu. A South Korean lawmaker, one of only 2 born in the north, gave his death a 99% probability. US Senator Lindsey Graham said he would be, quote, shocked if he's not dead or in some incapacitated state. And one of the South's 3 major newspapers published an article formally announcing the death. And if one needed any further confirmation, Reuters reported Beijing had dispatched a team of medical experts to advise on the situation. During this time, the South's National Intelligence Service repeatedly denied anything unusual was going on. As panic turned to confusion, and confusion turned to skepticism, the original Daily NK story issued a correction. It was actually based only on a single unnamed source. CNN changed its headline to sound more cautious, and the previously mentioned tweet and post were deleted. For a week or so, the media boldly asserted he's either dead or alive. Then, on May 1st, 20 days after his last appearance, Kim Jong-un returned. This time to inspect a fertilizer factory outside Pyongyang. In hindsight, it's no secret how these rumors spread. He had a procedure, became he's in critical condition after surgery, became he's dead, through a series of sloppy journalistic escalations. Because so many outlets published the story, people thought there must be some truth to it. After all, this is perhaps the easiest rumor to sell. Who would doubt 5'7", 300-pound, chain-smoking Kim Jong-un, the man who had a harder time planting a tree in his 30s than his 65-year-old South Korean counterpart, would have health troubles? Of course, nothing that happened on May 1st or since precludes the possibility of Kim having surgery. Some medical experts argue a new small mark seen on the leader's right wrist could be a sign of a cardiovascular procedure. He was also seen using a golf cart, as he did after a 6-week absence in 2014 caused by a suspected ankle injury, although he has used the cart at other times as well. Another theory suggests Kim may have been hiding from an outbreak of coronavirus. Pyongyang residents have reportedly been rushing to stock up at grocery stores. Confounding the problem is the current lack of foreigners in the country and minimal travel across the Chinese border, making reliable sources difficult to find. We may never know why Kim Jong-un disappeared. What we do know is that the North Korean government chose not to report on or snap a photo of their leader's whereabouts during those 3 weeks. Whatever the cause of the disappearance, the strategic reason for silence is simple. After the world finishes celebrating the death of a brutal, murderous dictator, it realizes the somehow even scarier potential alternative: the subsequent chaotic struggle for control of its nuclear and chemical weapons. Rumors of Kim's death are an accidental reminder of how bad things could be, and how much stability is worth. So while recent events may have only been a false alarm, they invite a very real question. One day, possibly any day, Kim Jong-un will die or be replaced. and when that happens, who will inherit the nuclear codes. In its 71 years of existence, only 3 people and 1 family have ever ruled the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. From the country's founding in 1948, Kim Il-sung would stay in power for another 46 years, until his death in 94. During this time, Japan cycled through 21 prime ministers, Britain 11, and the US 9 presidents. The small hermit kingdom would both outlive its Soviet ally and survive Chinese reform. Around the age of 60, the country's founder and then only leader began planning his legacy, first considering his brother before deciding on his son. The North Korean dictionary quietly changed its definition of hereditary succession as a reactionary custom of exploitative societies and began distributing paintings depicting the leader in a more loving, fatherly light. For the next few decades, the favored eldest son Kim Jong-il began climbing the party's ranks, eventually pronounced Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army in 1991. Thanks to this preparation, when a heart attack killed Kim Il-sung in 1994, power was smoothly inherited by his son, becoming the first hereditary transfer of power in a communist country. The question of who would follow Kim Jong-il was far more complicated. He first married on his father's request in 1966 and had a daughter 2 years later. 1 year after that, they divorced, and Kim almost immediately and in secret found a second woman with whom he had a son, Kim Jong-nam. 3 years later, not knowing of this second relationship or child, Kim Jong-il's father instructed him to remarry another woman. He did, and together the couple had 2 daughters. Finally, a few years later, he met a young dancer with whom he had a daughter, Yo-jong, and 2 sons, Jong-chol and Jong-un. Kim Jong-il kept each family in separate walled-in residences in Pyongyang, giving the children quiet and very isolated lives where they would not encounter each other. When it came time for boarding school, Jong-nam was sent to Geneva, while the youngest 3 went to Bern. What happened next is somewhat disputed. Conventional wisdom says that Kim Jong-nam, as the eldest son, was his father's favorite and next in line for the throne. Until May 2001, when he was caught sneaking into Japan to visit Tokyo Disney with a fake Dominican Republic passport and Chinese name. In truth, the Tokyo incident was likely just one more straw on the camel's back, reinforcing what was already becoming true. In fact, some doubt Disney was the real reason for the trip, or even suggest the arrest was set up. While Kim Jong-nam's mother visited Pyongyang only occasionally from her home in Moscow and was said not to be particularly ambitious, Kim Jong-un's mother was highly involved in political life, pushing behind the scenes for her son's ascent to power. Seeing his side of the family had lost favor, the eldest son lived an aimless life of parties in Pyongyang until his father offered him a deal: get married and have a child and you can leave North Korea, which Kim Jong-nam took, moving with his family to Macau. The middle child, meanwhile, was considered too quiet and unmotivated, leaving only the youngest. Kim Jong-un, to be clear, was not the perfect candidate. His mother was born in Japan, never legally married to Kim Jong-il, and her sister had defected. Still, thanks to his mother's maneuvering, Un was officially chosen as successor about 5 months after Kim Jong-il's near-fatal stroke in 2008, after which he had trouble moving the left side of his body. Almost nothing was known about the then roughly 25-year-old dictator-in-waiting, who, like his father, slowly ascended the party until December 17, 2011, when Kim Jong-il, also like his father, died of a heart attack. Both times, outsiders watched the transition, first from a militant revolutionary ideologue to an awkward film nerd, then to a basketball-loving 28-year-old with about 3 years of experience, and waited for the regime to collapse. Each time, they said the country could not survive without the personality behind the cult, and each time the transition was incredibly smooth, and their tenures long. At some point, one must accept that, for all their villainous behavior, the Kim family is also extremely skilled strategically. It should come as no surprise then that, as of now, there is no obvious next in line, which could present a serious threat to the current leadership. If tradition continues, as it tends to in North Korea, power will be inherited by one of Kim Jong-un's male children. 2 factors, however, complicate this. First, of his 3 reported children, the oldest is said to be only 10. which, let's hope, is far too young, even by North Korean standards. Second, Kim Jong-un's physical health is probably much worse than his predecessors, meaning there's a very real chance he could die before any of his children reach maturity. Which brings us back to the family tree. Anyone with Kim family blood, according to the country's culture and tradition, is a potential rival, as evidenced by the assassination of Kim Jong-nam in 2017. While returning to his home in Macau, the eldest brother was attacked and killed at a check-in counter at Kuala Lumpur airport. Carrying $120,000 in cash, he's suspected of being a CIA informant, and as evidenced by his 12 vials of antidotes, a nervous one. His son, Kim Han-sol, is currently in hiding, and would probably be extremely wise to remain that way. The most realistic replacements, however, come from within the country, the most high profile of which is Kim Jong-un's sister, Kim Yo-jong. When she first appeared in public at her father's funeral, so little was known about her that some suspected she was Kim Jong-un's wife. Since then, she has assumed the very public role of essentially her brother's assistant. She can be seen standing behind him at important meetings, and handing him a pen at signings. Many would recognize her face from the 2018 Winter Olympics, where she made waves for standing during the South Korean national anthem, cheering for the unified Korea flag, and inviting the president to meet with her brother. On one hand, the amount of power she has accumulated and her physical proximity to Kim Jong-un is a clear sign of trust. But given that Un had his own uncle executed by firing squad, what looks like trust could just as easily be doubt in her ability to pose a threat. While she does have the all-important Kim family blood, she would likely struggle to gain support in the North's very patriarchal culture, making her a valuable asset to the current leadership. Her supposed father-in-law, the well-connected Cho Rong-hae, is another possible contender. As a member of the party's Standing Committee, Central Committee, Military Commission, and a deputy of the Supreme People's Assembly, Rong-hae is one of the most powerful senior officials in the country. Although he lacks the family blood, and therefore also the financial access, he's had decades to build and maintain a coalition, which could, in theory, eventually be used to seize control. That leaves only Kim Jong-chol, the older full brother of Kim Jong-un. Chol reportedly can be found in one of two places, in Pyongyang, where he plays guitar, or wherever Eric Clapton is playing a concert. It would seem his father was right, he has no political ambitions. Or, like all of this, so it's thought. The trouble with understanding North Korea is that so much of what we know is based on stories told by a select few insiders living abroad. People like Kenji Fujimoto, formerly the Kim family sushi chef who watched Kim Jong-un and his siblings grow up. With so little information on which to go on, few opportunities to calibrate our understanding, and North Korea itself usually disinterested in confirming or denying rumors, the outside world faces a tough dilemma. It would be foolish to totally disregard the few tidbits of information we do have as unproven speculation. But it would also be foolish to accept them wholeheartedly and risk being misled, as we saw happen with the recent reports of Kim Jong-un's death. The next time Kim Jong-un disappears, we may learn from this mistake and quickly dismiss the story. And yet, when he does eventually disappear from the world for good, that's exactly how it will probably look. When Kim Jong-il died in December 2011, the world continued operating as usual, totally oblivious, for 51 hours. During that time, the South Korean president flew to Tokyo, met the prime minister, and flew back. Its defense minister was in a meeting when the announcement was finally made. Afterward, the Obama administration reluctantly admitted they were, quote, largely bystanders, as the guard changed in this notoriously cruel, nuclear-armed nation. As it turned out, we got lucky. There was no chaotic struggle for power, and 25 million citizens didn't come flooding through the Chinese border. Next time, no one knows for sure. If, like me, you're not busy managing the succession of your dictatorship, I'm willing to bet you might have a little extra time at the moment. If you're going to be stuck indoors, why not make use of that time to learn something new on Brilliant? Maybe you've always wanted to learn programming. Brilliant has courses to walk you through the very basics, all the way up to the high-level topics like machine learning and quantum computing. Or perhaps you're a science person, in which case you'll love its courses on topics like gravitational physics and astronomy. Or maybe you want the concepts in your math homework explained in a way that actually makes sense, not just making you memorize formulas. Brilliant has it all. On top of that, Brilliant gives you a new puzzle or problem to solve every day on its beautifully made mobile app and website, where you can also ask questions, discuss solutions, and dive deeper into whatever topic interests you most. Start learning today for free with the link in the description. The first 200 people will also get 20% off the annual premium subscription.